buckle up, let's slide. Madness in the mirror, music in the veins. Life on the road, through the joint of pain. But test vibes, we gon' shift the frame. Bus call, remember the name.
On this episode of Bus Call, the podcast, I have Michael Harper. He is a front of house engineer and touring manager for the legendary guitarist Norman Brown. How you doing?
Man, I'm great, man. It's an honor and a pleasure to be on the Bus Call.
Man, I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate it. Man, can you just tell us who is Michael Harper?
Absolutely, man. Well, I'm a born and raised audiovisual and technical student, because I say the student because I'm still learning. You never stop learning, man. And I was born and raised in the church. My father was a popular, well-known pastor from St. Louis, Missouri. So technology has always been a part of we were the first church in the late 80s, early 90s that actually had a broadcast infrastructure in church. And, we had viewers on a regular basis. And I was kind of raised in it, man. And also being heavily into the music scene, both gospel. Started out as a drummer and toured as a drummer, and how things kind of progressed. Came off the drums, went to monitor world, went to stage management, and the rest is history, man. I always had an affinity for audio and visual effects, man, and been in audio all my life, either as a musician or in the church scene. Born and raised Church of God in Christ, man. So worked with the National Church also. Both.
So you got to be born.
Yeah, man. So that's where I got a lot of my training, whoopings, learnings, lessons. But then in the St. Louis area, my mentor is none other than Mr. Craig Williams, who owns Metro Percussion Systems. He was also percussionist for Anita Baker, Tina Turner, several people, Chuck Berry. And so I learned a lot of wisdom from him, and my other mentor in audio, Mr. Randy Williams, as well as Demetrius Blanton. They are well-known engineers from the St. Louis area, and just kind of brought me out on shows, the arena shows, the Fox Theater shows that they did. And so I kind of got an early exposure to the show life outside of church, and then I started bringing a lot of that I learned in the Foxes and the large arena and stadium gigs into my father's church. And so that's kind of how I married the two, man, and been doing a lot of integration as far as design, corporate facilities, stadium infrastructure for audiovisual, a lot of government facilities. So that's what I do 9 to 5. But on the weekend and most evenings, I'm in someone's church doing audiovisual, or like we know, on a tour bus. So that's kind of who I am, man. That's how I got my teeth cut in this industry. I was one of the people that was raised by Dr. Matty Mouse Clark. So, as a drummer, I took a lot of whoopings. As a son of the church, I took a lot of whoopings. And then, obviously the Clark sisters are like extended family. So they, kept their foot on us too, whether it was in audio or in music. So I had the privilege of being exposed to some of the greats, not only in the music industry, but in gospel as well. So that kind of shaped who I am, man. And that's how I got to this point. Just being in those environments in church, man, prepare you for any venue, any artist that you can come to.
Church.
Yes, sir.
Church. And I tell people, hey, if you can mix in a black church, Baptist, I'm talking about Kojic, Apostolic. If you can go in that church and survive a church, not to say that church is like crazy, but the amount of changes and on the spot things that you just have to adjust to and pivot and still make it happen, it definitely will prepare you to go on the road.
Definitely, man. If for no other reason, man, to strengthen your feelings. Let me say that the nice way. You learn to take it, and you learn to approach different situations differently, because in the church, man, they can be brutal, especially if they consider you a son, or extended family member.
Yeah,
They are harder on you than they are on the guests. So,
you're right. You
but
are right. You are
it
right.
builds muscle for sure.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. So with the with work, so with working with Norman.
Mm-hmm.
So are you using a certain console? Do you have a certain console of choice that you have on the rider that you usually have most time?
Yeah, I have on my rider the quantums, of course. I like the 225s and the 330s, 335.
Favorite.
Yep.
Yes.
Those
Okay.
are my favorite. But what we've been experiencing, because Norman does a lot of festivals, or either the exact far branching of that, which is like Yoshi's that have locked
Mhm.
in systems.
Mhm.
We learn to adjust to whatever console that is, in the venue. And I learned this, believe it or not, from you and a couple of other people, just to keep those flash drives with every show on every desk.
So
And
file.
man, them show files saved me, bro. Because just when I think
Yeah.
I have to build a show file, I'm like, man, I just recently had a wing show. I think we did something together. Where did we go? They had a
Man,
wing.
we were outside and there was a wing. And I was surprised because the
It
system
sounded good.
actually sounded good. And it was like,
sounded good.
I don't know what you did, but hey. And I couldn't even, the boxer was like a no-name array box and
Yes.
stuff. And it was like, oh, this system is really pushing. I don't
Yeah.
know, but they had a wing.
They had
I
a
don't know where we
wing.
were.
I think we
We were
were in New
outside.
Jersey.
It was hot.
Yeah, Avery went after us. That
Huh?
that weekend. It was, I
Yeah.
think we were in New Jersey. No, Willingsboro.
Oh, yeah. Is that the one where y'all came straight from the airport
Yes.
over there?
Yep.
Straight from the airport to
Straight
the
from the
stage. No
airport.
time to change. Just
Man.
go. Yeah.
Because what happened was they had a driver that drove us.
Yeah, I remember this.
The driver, I'm in the bus, and I'm the tour manager, so I'm watching the clock like nobody's business. I'm like, man, we should have been there by now. And I'm talking to the guy. Long story short, the guy had us in upstate New York, man, heading to Staten Island. We were on the way to Staten Island, and we were supposed to be
Y'all were
going
45 minutes the wrong way.
Wrong way, bro.
45 minutes in the other truck.
And the crazy thing about it, that show, Stokely and them was on that show. And he had driven Stokely and them to the venue the day before. So I don't know how the brother got lost.
He's
bizarre.
on that.
So we were we were on a bus changing, and we pulled up right in enough time to do about 15-minute changeover, and we hit the stage. But like you say, they had that system so tuned with that Behringer wing. It sounded amazing. But yeah, I keep those shows files in just about every console that we have. We see a lot of the 335s, the quantums in both variations. Of course, any Digico is a winner, but we've also seen D Live. I love D Live for the simplicity and how you can quickly get a show dialed in.
Okay.
So I love D Lives. I'm a huge Allen and Heath fan.
They make good stuff. They make good stuff with good onboard effect and process. Yes. I can't hate on them for that. It's not my favorite console, but if you have to use the D-Live, it got some nice pieces that's just built in that you could just plug and play and lay it out how you want to. And hey, you get the job done.
It get the job done.
Definitely.
I mean, man, we've even done shows on SQ5s. I think we went to Queens, New York, and it was a huge outdoor festival. Norman was the headliner, and they had an SQ5 in front of house. It worked for what we were trying to do. It was a lot of changeover, but it worked. You know what I'm saying? So I've learned through this experience, man, this last touring season, just to brush up on all of the consoles, because you never know what you're going to encounter. And even some of the ones that you prefer can present challenges. Like, for instance, we were in Cancun and they had the quantums, but something happened in between the stage box and the front of house console. So I had to do the entire show from the Monitor World console, and they end up turning the side fields toward the audience.
What?
Yes, that was at the
Wow.
Cancun Jazz Festival, man. So you got to learn to be adaptable. That was an opportunity where it was already high tensions, and that's where you
Okay.
kind of have to balance being professional and learning to get the show done, man. And that was a first for me, but we got it done. And it all comes with knowing the console. And a lot of guys stay married to one console, but I'm finding now that's not realistic. You're going to get to some venues that are not going to honor your rider, and you got to be ready to flow. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Do you rely heavily on plugins, or are you more of a just onboard processing and effects person?
I was raised and trained less is more.
Okay.
And even with less is more, knowing your tools, making sure you're abreast on your tools, whether they're outboard gear or on desk plugins. I try not to over compress. I try not to over process the mix, because when you do that, you lose the flavor of the artist. One of the major things I do, whoever I'm going out with, I study their mix, study their records, and I try to replicate what the artist has put out there on the record, because that's what the audience is looking for. They're looking for a similar sound, a particular sound of the house, as we say in church. But if you're just an engineer, you cannot mix every artist the same way. You have to be aware of who you're mixing for. And
Okay.
I'm giving you your flowers. You already know what I'm saying. We were out with you guys on one of the shows, and you said something that has stuck with me. Mix the money. Mix the money.
Yeah, we talk about that. It's like, hey, they don't, even though the band, the tracks, everything accompanying the artist, but they came to see the
They came to
artist.
see the
So it's like,
artist.
if the artist ain't sitting on top of that mix,
Yep.
what's the use?
Yeah.
Mix the money.
Absolutely.
And I learned that from, oh my gosh, what is his name? You know what? He mixed with me. I mixed with him on the Queens tour with Stephanie Mills for this front of house magazine plaque that we have. His name is, oh gosh, that's crazy that I don't know. It's like, of course, you're on a podcast,
Right.
you're saying something, think of the person's name. His name is Louis McKay.
Louis
McKay.
Yes, sir.
Louis mixed for, Al Green.
Yes,
Louis
sir.
mixed
That's
for
a
a legend.
legend.
He a legend in the
Yes,
game.
sir.
When I say his mixes are clean, barely in the EQ, barely. He's not really processing a lot.
Yeah.
He's letting the mic do the work.
Exactly.
He got proper gain structure. And that man said, Courtney, I'm telling you, at the end of the day, he said, you got to mix the money. I was mixing ears on the Queens tour for Stephanie Mills. He said, Courtney, when we do sound check, you make sure everybody good. He said, but when she walk out on that stage, don't nobody else matter but her.
Yep.
Right there. And I said, he's like, man, just mix the money. She the one that pay us, so all your attention is on the artist and the rest of the show. Everybody else, y'all good. We got to mix the money right there. So he's like, hey man, just concentrate on her and you'll be good.
And that was a teachable moment.
We did some good stuff.
That was a teachable moment
definitely.
for me when you said that, because even early on, I was still looking at the overall mix, including the band with Norman. And traditionally, what I was told, where the rhythm and lead guitar is supposed to, by the books, sit in the mix. However, and I'm going to tell you, one of the most brutal cities is Detroit. They will let you know.
Yeah, they're going to tell you.
Hey, don't go to the Aretha if you wearing your feelings on your sleeve. Because, man, front of house, man. Because, you sit right
between
in
Canada
them,
and the US.
Bruh. And they will tell you, it's a unique venue. I think we did that show with y'all too, right? Y'all went before us. And so at that show, man, Norman gets up on stage, we use house Monitor World. And I told him, hey, drop it at 2K, drop it at 200, boost him in the downstage monitors so that I can turn his amp down. I said, if you
Okay.
do that, he can feel it, he'll be happy, and you're not blasting the audience with this Fender Twin. Man,
Right.
they did not do it. And what does Norman do? He go over,
Crank it.
break it all the way up. And so it got so bad, man. I had to run down because a Monitor World engineer was scared to do it. I ran down and had to cut his amp down because it was blaring those people in the front. And so I learned a long time ago, like, hey, he's not supposed to sit in the mix like we're traditionally taught that a rhythm guitar or lead guitar is supposed to sit in the mix, but he is the money, as you state. And so he has to sit out front because people at the end of the day are coming to hear him. And then just coloring underneath him and not over processing the mix, learning to get the true sound out of every instrument. One of my mentors is Charles Harris out of the DMV area. And Charles is mixed for everybody, man. But one of the things Charles told me, hey, don't chop up the mix just to feel like you're doing something. A lot of these instruments go through years of intelligent people who create the sound so that it's plug and play. So a lot of things you don't have to do because actually you're taking away from your mix. So that's what I do, man. With Norman, I put him out front. And even, since that encounter with you guys where, you mixing the money, that has been the kind of the mantra that I've gone by since hearing that, because it could not be any truer, man. You gotta let the
Right.
artist sit out in the mix because that's who they came to see.
That's good. What are the biggest mistakes you think or you see that engineers make when they're trying to mix jazz and they're trying to mix in a smaller room versus some of these larger festival settings that we mix in?
You got to mix to the room. Yoshi's is vastly different than the Dallas Civic Center. And with these jazz artists, you have to realize that it's supposed to be a clean level mix. It's not supposed to be rock. It's not supposed to be gospel. One of the challenges that I see with a lot of engineers, they mix to their personal instrument that they play. So I can listen to a mix and be like, you're a drummer, aren't you? And I used to have that pointed out to me. Like Demetrius Blanton, he's engineer from St. Louis. He mixed for Nelly and all those people. One of my mentors, he was like, hey, stop telling on yourself. I said, what do you mean? He was like, everybody knows you're a drummer because you have the drum sitting out in the mix. Or, you can tell that you're a guitarist because the guitar is louder than everybody else. So I, kind of had to evaluate each room. The jazz circuit is one where the people just want to hear a clean, level set mix where it's not blasting their ears off. They come out to relax, have their wine, listen to Norman, and you're looking for a clean mix, natural sounding mix across the board. And the main challenge is everybody is so dead set and gung-ho on the waves era in mixing to where you're actually adding way too much and creating a sound that's not indicative of the artist. And so I had to learn in this jazz circuit, which I love, by the way, that discipline is key even in your mix. You gotta have discipline.
That's good. That's good. So, from your tour manager perspective, what's the hardest part about, let's say, keeping a jazz tour running smoothly? Because, people think jazz, you're like, oh, man, jazz got to be, it's smooth, man, ain't no problem. Everything just on time. Everything is just, hey, y'all ain't got no issues like we do if we run an R&B tour or a rap tour. It got to be easy doing like jazz.
No, the challenge for me is, and I had to learn early on, is to over communicate with my vendors, with my promoters in whatever upcoming city, advancing the show, leaving no stone unturned. A lot of people that I'm seeing just send out the rider and be like, all right, we'll see y'all in 3 weeks. No, I want to talk to the vendors. I want to see the pull sheets. I want to see, okay, what don't you have? Okay, my drummers is endorsed. I'm with Styx. Styx is my drummer, Lewis Newsom. So I have to have Sabian and Ludwig. I know Ludwig is not it's a boutique kit almost at this point, but I have to have it. So being over communicative as advanced as possible. So right now I'm talking to my March and April venues for Norman, just making sure that we over communicate, making sure that every detail is outlined and that I'm on a personal communication with the house engineers, the backline company. And when you're just nice, man, you be nice to people, treat people with respect, they'll find a way to get you what you want. Especially when
You right.
I'm calling out, hey man, I know you guys got this and we're willing to work whatever you have, but I got this drummer who's endorsed by Ludwig. If I need you to put you in contact with his rep, we can do that. Cool, Mike, no problem. Because when you're nice to people, they'll bend over backwards to work for you. So that's the challenge that I'm seeing. A lot of people just drop off their riders or email their riders and don't follow up. For me, in this jazz scene, I have had to learn that you over communicate because just like you just said, man, a lot of people think, oh, it's jazz, it's just easy. We can just throw whatever up there. No, we want what's on our rider, and I'm going to communicate that to you in enough time for you to get what we need.
Okay. So what systems or habits do you use to keep organized day by day on the road? Are y'all using a certain tour app? I know a lot of guys use different tour apps, or tour managers use those different apps to try to keep everybody communicating. Is there anything that you all use to kind of stay the communication together, or is it just like old school, just hey, text and email?
I tried the apps. I tried
Okay.
the details, but our guys are inundated with apps, phones, things of that nature.
Okay.
I'm finding, yes, I'll email out my day sheets. Like
Okay.
we're out on the 24th through the 25th. They have their day sheets already.
Okay.
So they know the itinerary, where they're being picked up from, the airport call time, hotel call. All that is completely detailed. I make sure that they not only have my number, but everybody from ground transportation to the promoter to the venue, everybody has that information in their day sheets. And I just print them out before we leave. I print them out when we link up at Hartsfield. Hey, here's your day sheets. Everybody has a printout of everything that they do. I use an app to send out reminder notifications for lobby calls, things of that nature. And I just work with a great group of guys, man, that are disciplined and know how to get to the bus on time. So
Hey, getting to the bus. And I'm telling people, I say this when I ask every question, get into the bus, call time, lobby call, they so important. It's so easy. Man, I'm telling you something. When I used to, like when I first started touring, getting accustomed to getting up at a 4 o'clock lobby call, 3:30, 5 o'clock. Sometimes, man, we'll get done at 10 or 11. I wouldn't go to sleep because I would be scared that I'm going to oversleep. And I'm like, bro, nobody coming knocking on this door. They're going to be like, well, Courtney better get there. So it's like a lot of times, man, I would stay up all night and then make sure I made that 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock because I'm like, bro, if I go to sleep, I'm gonna get left.
Yep.
So,
and man, as a tour manager, you're the first one downstairs and you're the last one to your room.
Right.
Especially with Norman, believe it or not, man, Norman is a high commodity. So sometimes I act as security as well. And Norman he's been doing this all his life. So he'll come walking down in the lobby like a normal person, and all of a sudden, it's 20 or 30 people around. So with that and him getting up in age, I make sure that he's taken care of as a tour manager. It's my job to make sure that he gets settled. So sometimes I'm the first one down and the last one to my room because I have to make sure that if anyone's showing up on time, I have to be the person that's showing up on time. It have to be.
That's good. That's good. Has there been a time or a moment that you can think of on tour where you had that this is why I do this moment where you feel like, man, this is why I do this. This is yes.
Yeah. When the promoter comes to you at the end of the show and says, everybody on my staff says that it was a pleasure to work with you all. The audience was floored by the show. Everything sounded amazing. You all were so welcoming. You weren't hard to work with. We have to have you back. When a promoter or a owner of a venue says, hey, we need to get dates on when we can get you back, that's a win. And that's why I say this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Just being nice to people, making sure that we are being professional in every aspect of the job. Because sometimes you'll get some people, we're still in America. I'm just keep it real. When they see us come through, they like,
yeah.
But
yeah, most definitely.
We show up, and it just be professional. Like, hey, no.
And I'm telling you, most times when we come in, if you're the production manager, tour manager, front of house, it's like, okay, you can tell they're apprehensive, but then at the end of the night or after sound check, when your sound check has ran well and your stuff, y'all just well put together, y'all know what y'all doing, you know what you want. And then after the show, and it's like, whoa, man, y'all were so, and then you see people kind of warm up to be like, wow, man, you guys, and it's like, so you thought we were going to be different because we're black? I'll be honest, you thought because we're a fully black crew, it was no way that they could be professional and sound great and know what they want and be organized. I'm like, no, this is how we move. This is what we do.
And man, the crazy thing about it, there are some production managers, promoters, etc., that reach out to me now more than they did before the show, just to check on me or say, hey, what's going on? Just reaching out, happy New Year's. That's when you did and you went beyond all of the jobs, when people want to maintain relationships with you. And that's when you're on tour. A lot of people get out on tour and get to yapping inappropriately or too much. And the tour life doesn't last long for those people. Learn to be professional.
Exactly.
Shut your mouth, do your job, and move on to the next city. And
man, you're right. I did a podcast with Avery Sunshine the other night, and she said one of the non-negotiables for her and having somebody on the road, crew, a musician, don't come on my gig and be heavy and negative.
Man.
She was like, you can't be heavy and negatives on somebody else's gig. He's like, you got to be easy to laugh
too much. She like to have too
much.
Like, you can't be on. No, I can't see negative people in y'all camp. No, sir.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So have you learned anything with you being a musician about musicianship and professionalism, working with Norman, working with somebody on that level of being, a legend?
Yes. They are built off consistency. They want the same thing, the same vibe as much as possible. They are open to new ideas, new concepts, new ways of doing things, but it's 100% in how you present it. Hey, I've been doing this for so long and it has worked. I don't want to throw a kink in there unless it's a proven system, a proven practice that is going to elevate me. And it's not only Norman, but most artists that are at that caliber. I've worked with Chuck Berry. I've had the opportunity as a youngin' to work with Aretha. It's the same thing. Consistency is key. If you're going to present me a new concept, I want to know that it's been flushed out, that it has a proven result, and you have to have a plan on how we're going to implement it to what we're doing here. And so with that, I've learned that all things that are what's the scripture? Oh man. All things that are lawful are not expedient. So just because it makes sense to another artist doesn't mean it makes sense for yours. For me, I would love to put that Fender Deluxe in an ISO box. That's not going to work for Norm. You know, that's just an example. Also, some of the pedal boards that are just one and done, that has everything you need right there. Well, Norman prefers isolated, separate pedal boards in his one rack, but he wants isolated, separate pedal boards. And Sharky said, Mike, hey, I'm gonna send you something from Norman. It's a new pedal board. And Norman looked at it, still picked up his. So you have to present it in a way that shows that it's a proven change or it's a proven update that will elevate what they're doing. If it's not going to elevate or it's going to make it hard, they are immediately going to shut it down. And
that makes sense. That makes sense. So do you have any advice for, let's say, your up and coming front of house engineers or front of house engineers that want to get to the level of working with legacy type of artists like a Norman Brown? What should they be focusing on, or what skills should they be trying to master or perfect at this point when they're trying to get to a certain level?
Well, I will say this is a key point my father raised us on, like, don't just learn one vertical in the industry. Make yourself that much more valuable by learning multiple things. Don't just learn how to be a front of house engineer who can do the mix well, but know how to be a system tech if you need to. You need to know how to troubleshoot, how to make yourself a value add to any situation you're coming to. Make yourself a value add by saying, hey, not only can I mix, but also I can manage the stage, I can tune a guitar, I can tour manage. You have to make yourself expendable in all areas and not just focus on one thing. Yes, perfect your craft, yes, but continue to grow, expound, and continue to grow yourself and your offering that you are giving to whatever artist you're going out there. Also, be wise in how you present yourself. Don't present yourself in a manner that when people get on a road, they find out, oh, you really can't do that. Okay. Oh, you really sold us on something that you're really not equipped enough to do. Okay. Because now I have to buy you the first flight home and find your replacement.
Quick, I'm talking about it's somebody on their way already.
Yep. And don't, this is something we dealt with within the last week and a half. Don't think that you're not expendable. The only person that's not expendable is the artist whose name is on the card. And when you go out there and think that you are the end all be all, you're setting yourself up for failure. Don't think that every show date you're going to get. Don't feel as if your job is locked in. You have to continue to make yourself valuable by focusing on, yes, your craft, but being able to extend yourself to other needs of the tour.
That's true. I mean, I had a guy tell me this when I first started mixing. I'm talking about, this is probably about 18 years ago. So you're only as good as your last mix.
Yes.
People remember your last mix. Yes. You could have mixed for 10 years and it was amazing. If you crash and burn, let's say at the Fox Theater in Atlanta, we're going to remember that last. Yes. So you need to leave a lasting impression. You need, every time you mix, it needs to be like it's your last time being able to mix.
Yeah, you have to. And every opportunity that you get, you need to be thankful to God that you have, because
without him, we would not be able to do these things that we do. We really do get to live a dream.
Yeah.
Traveling on the road with artists, mixing in venues. And if we didn't have God on our side, it would not be possible at all, because I wouldn't be able to make this happen on my own.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate enough, man, to be introduced into touring at a young age. My parents allowed me to go on tour at a young age, but the person that I went out on tour with we were all young. We had curfews. You probably gonna know who I'm talking about in a minute. but we had curfews because their daughter was the artist. And so, yeah, their daughter was the artist and she was blowing up, but we were all kids. We had 8:30 curfews. We had, and if we got caught out of the room past 8:30, we were either going home or we were disciplined. This particular person sat down with my parents and said, hey, if I can't discipline him, he can't come on tour with us. That was my introduction to touring at an early age. And that stuff sticks with me to this day, knowing how to conduct myself, making sure I know who I'm representing when I'm out there. First, you're representing the artist. If I was out with Avery, it's like, hey, you can't do, because you're representing. You're representing the artist you're with. You're representing Norman. So you got to learn how to make sure that you are representing God himself. Make sure that you're representing artists, and make sure you're representing yourself in a way that will get you invited back.
Right. So how important are people skills versus the technical skills in trying to sustain this career on a long-term basis? Because some people just think it's all about the talent.
It is not all about your gift and talents and abilities. Those are great. But I know a bunch of talented musicians, a bunch of talented engineers who are at home.
That's a good bunch of talented engineers are at home, because I can't be on the bus with you for 30 days.
Nope.
I can't even be around you for 3 days.
Nope. You have to know how to be a people person. That's why relationships matter, man. I know preachers say it every week, or we may hear it in church, but relationships matter. You can be the greatest musician in the world, but if your attitude is bad, or if you can't conduct or have self-control out on the road, I just realized, man, touring ain't for everybody. If you got struggles with women at home, you definitely don't need to be on tour. So it's relationships, man, that build character and get you invited back. Your skills may get you to the job, but your relationship will get you invited back.
You're right. What separates a good front of house engineer from a trusted front of house engineer? Because you could be good, but we're talking about a trusted front of house engineer. What separates them?
What separates a good engineer from a trusted one? A good engineer will create a mix that, yes, sounds good. A mix that, yes, fills the room. A trusted engineer is someone who is going to mix for the artist outside of their personal opinions, wishes, and aspirations. You know how to mix for the artist. So I can trust you. I don't have to come out there and check your mix. I know the mix that Courtney's going to give is going to be appropriate for Avery. Now, when he goes over to October London, I know I'm not going to get Avery's mix.
Right.
I'm going to get October's mix, which are two completely different mixes. And so I trust Courtney to do that. Do I trust him to be a good engineer? Yeah, of course. I mean, he's Courtney. But trust comes in evaluating the artist and creating the mix that is appropriate for that artist. That's a trusted engineer versus a good engineer.
Okay. So we got a couple of just rapid fire type of questions.
Let's go. I'm ready.
If you had a warning label at front of house, what would your warning label say at front of house?
My warning label at front of house, it would be to the audience, like those people that want to come up and be like almost to the point of saying, do not talk to me while I'm mixing.
That's a good one. That definitely is a good one.
Do not talk to me while I'm mixing.
Okay. What is the wildest technical save you ever had to make, like mid-show, to be like, man, if I didn't catch that or we didn't fix this, wow, there's no telling where the show would have went.
Technical save. I want to go back to Cancun with mixing from the side field. But the technical save, I would say, they relocated. I forgot who I was out with. It was Arena show. I think I was out with Nelly. they relocated front of house for whatever reason after sound check. They
Wow.
relocated it. It moved like 10 feet, either further back or further up. I can't remember. But for some reason, I look back and they had the monitor world. What was it? I'm trying to figure out what it was. But they basically, our whole distro rack was completely unplugged. They were playing music from the DJ. The line was still connected for front of house speakers, but our distro was not connected. And so at the front of house, I looked, I'm like, man, something ain't right there. And I was like, hey, what's going on? You know, and luckily we had a team that hopped right on it right before we was getting ready to go on, gave us signal. Cause I was like, man, we should be seeing signal from drums. We should be seeing something. Nothing was connected, man. So that was right before show, probably maybe 45 minutes before show. Doors were definitely open. But yeah, that kind of threw us off. But that was in Greenville. That venue is special. That arena in Greenville.
So you caught that in time to be like, oh, you need to pick everything up.
Right. We had some challenges in Birmingham. It rained and they had to unplug the PA. You remember?
Yeah.
It's like, but JB is a man. JB Brooks.
Oh yeah, y'all did. Yes,
yeah, JB caught him.
Hey, with Ray.
Yeah, he was out there with
Ray's fan, JB. Yeah, I remember him telling me about that.
Yep.
Inner ears or wedges, and why? Which one? Inner ears or wedges?
For me, at front of house, I prefer a Q wedge. I think I'm leaning. It's close, man. And by the way, these are new. So I'll be telling you more about that. Q Harmonics, our in-ears that we have. Me and Jacob Campbell, we are releasing these. They are Q Harmonics and high fidelity in-ears. But I give the slight edge to a Q wedge, man. I still to feel that because you know I want to hear the room still and stopping to put your ear in ears. Yeah, I use it as a reference of the house mix, but still I want to hear the room to get to dial in the mix appropriately. So I still give the slight edge to a Q wedge for sure.
Okay. So you say you will use plugins or you can use plugins. If you absolutely had to use 3 plugins. What would the 3 plugins be at front of house that you would use?
See, I don't use them with Norman, but so I like everything in the LV one, but the auto tune is up there. That Neve plugin is really nice. I love that Neve plugin, especially on vocal mics. Also, like the D-Pack has this, and that's probably an Allen Heath thing. I'm not even sure if it's available on the other consoles, but D-Pack has this thing called Sonic 8 and the Rev 1 that are phenomenal compressors that I put on drum, kick, bass. I even put it on the snare too, the deep snare. That the precision is phenomenal. I like everything in D-Pack is pretty solid, man. Especially if you don't have the Waves card or Dante card for Waves. That I love everything in the D-Pack, but I lean heavily in the church market. I lean heavily on auto tune.
Gotcha.
And that feature that they put in there, the send to all. I save my snapshots. I know the key to the song ahead of time, and I can send to all of the vocals, all of the same key. That's
Allen and Heath?
No, that's in the standard auto tune Waves. They have a button on there now that says send to all, where you can send the key and that Waves to all of your vocal inputs. I love that. That's a huge time saver, and I can just save my snapshot for each song. And it will save the key and everything that can quickly go between. Those are some huge ones that I love.
Okay. So let's say, man, when this touring career, let's say for you, is done, and then you say, I'm retired from touring, I'm done. What do you want people to say about Michael Harper?
I want to say that, when we're talking long term, that, hey, Mike provided me with the avenue to grow my career in this industry. I love doing what I do, but man, it's something about putting food on people's tables, engineers' table. I get calls all the time from churches, from artists looking for engineers. And that feeling of connecting people with solid engineers and those engineers being able to put food on their table. I have some people that I got connected with CNN when I left CNN. I was brought here to Atlanta to be the director of AV for CNN in 2012.
Okay. Wow.
And worked with the local unions here down at the GWCC, GICC, and I provided labor for Freeman Audiovisuals, Encore. And so there are engineers that I provided an avenue for them to work with them, and they still work with them to this day. Artists that I connected with, engineers that are working to this day. And that's what I want my legacy to be. Hey, Mike not only helped train, develop me as an engineer, but he created an opportunity for me to feed my family.
Oh, that's good. That's good. To give back is important because somebody gave to us for us to be able to do it.
Yeah.
When we didn't even know that this job, like you get paid to do this.
Right.
So it's like to be able to give back to other people, to give back to young people, even if it's not somebody young, just somebody that's just willing and open to wanting to learn it, it's still a blessing because you always got to reach back for people.
I was given several opportunities. Craig Williams, Randy Anderson, Demetrius Blanton, Charles Harris, Ray Hammond, Sam Cruz, all these legendary engineers who I can't explain them, but they took a liking to me and they brought me under their wings and taught me stuff, and I got free training and tutelage, and them brothers still check on me to this day. And without them, I wouldn't be who I am, man. So I want to do the same for upcoming engineers. Be a support, be a person to call if ever they need anything, man. So that's what makes me feel good. That's what my legacy wants to be. That's what I want it to be.
Most definitely. Yes, man, Mike, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. Bro.
Absolutely.
You giving tips, you giving tricks. I appreciate you, just explaining where you came from and, how you got to the point that you are. Man, it is appreciated. I know people are going to take from this video, and young and up and coming people will take from this video and get some understanding of what we do and how we do it, how to operate and how to carry yourself.
Absolutely.
Man, again, I appreciate it. And just thank you for being a part of the podcast. Be the last time. We definitely gonna have to get one.
Absolutely.
We'll have to get one on the road somewhere with everybody. Man, I appreciate you, man, and thank you so much.
Thanks you, bro. Appreciate it, man. It's been an honor.
No problem.
Bus car, buckle up, let's slide. Madness in the mirror, music in the veins. Life on the road, through the joint of pain. But test vibes, we gon' shift the frame. Bus car, remember the name.